Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we're delving into another chilling case, dangerous connections. 19-year-old student Lizzi Marriott vanished on October 9, 2012. After her classes, she went home and left a note on the table. It was addressed to Tony and Becky Hanna, the uncle and aunt with whom she was staying. In it, Lizzi said she was going to visit a friend and would be back no later than midnight. However, neither that day nor the next did Lizzi return. Later, her car was found in the campus parking lot. It seemed as if she had disappeared without a trace. As time passed, the search for the missing girl turned into a search for her body. The police uncovered gruesome details about her death. Lizzi's openness and friendliness, once her greatest strengths, ultimately turned against her. This is a story about the dangers posed by uncontrolled desires. Horrible crimes are committed when not only state, but also universal laws are violated. The freedom of one person ends where the rights of another begin. This is an undeniable truth. For Tony and Becky, Lizzi had become a full-fledged family member. To save on housing, she moved in with them during her studies at the University of New Hampshire. Lizzi loved marine animals and chose a future profession in marine biology. She moved to Chester in the fall of 2012, leaving her parents Bob and Melissa Marriott, with whom she lived in Massachusetts. They were separated by a 2-hour drive, but still maintained close communication. Lizzi had a gentle character, was kind and sweet, which made everyone love her. She would shout, "I'm home," her aunt recalled, and we felt joy in our hearts because she felt comfortable with us, and we with her. Lizzi liked her new life, and unprecedented horizons lay ahead. In her spare time, she worked at Target, where she quickly adapted and was well regarded. There, she met 18-year-old Kate McDonald. The girls quickly found a common language and often hung out after work. Once, Lizzi had already been to Kate's apartment, so when she invited her again, she agreed. On October 9th, the friends met again. They planned to spend the evening together, have dinner, and watch a movie. However, their solitude was interrupted. 30-year-old Seth Mazzella, Kate's boyfriend, joined them. Lizzi didn't mind the company. It's more fun together. Moreover, her new acquaintances were interesting personalities involved in theater, and Seth graduated from the same university as Lizzi, albeit in theater arts. Despite the fact that Seth worked as a consultant in an electronics store, he had a rich experience. He trained as an emergency medical technician, earned a black belt in karate, and even taught martial arts. In general, they had a lot to talk about. The evening promised to be interesting and end on a good note. But entering the young people's apartment, Lizzi never came out again. On October 9th, 2012, 19-year-old Lizzi Marriott began her day like any other, attending her classes at the University of New Hampshire, where she was studying marine biology. Lizzi had recently moved in with her uncle and aunt, Tony and Becky Hanna, in Chester, New Hampshire, to save on housing costs. Her parents, Bob and Melissa Marriott, lived a 2-hour drive away in Massachusetts, but Lizzi maintained close communication with them despite the distance. After finishing her classes for the day, Lizzi returned to her uncle and aunt's home. As she entered the house, she greeted Tony and Becky with her usual cheerful disposition, likely bringing a moment of happiness to their evening. Lizzi then left a note on the table before heading out again. In the note, she informed Tony and Becky that she was going to visit a friend and would be back no later than midnight. This seemed routine enough for her, a social and friendly young woman who enjoyed spending time with her peers. Lizzi's plans for the evening included meeting up with her friend Kate McDonald. The two had met while working at a Target store and had quickly become close. Lizzi had previously visited Kate's apartment, so when Kate invited her over again, Lizzi agreed without hesitation. Little did Lizzi know, this visit would mark the beginning of a tragic and horrifying chain of events. As the night wore on, Lizzi's promised return time of midnight came and went, but she did not return home. Her absence extended into the next day, causing growing concern among Tony and Becky. They initially hoped that perhaps Lizzi had stayed overnight at her friend's place and gone straight to the university from there. However, as more time passed and there was still no sign of Lizzi, their worry deepened. By the evening of October 10th, Tony and Becky contacted Lizzi's parents, Bob and Melissa, to inform them of the situation. Alarmed by the news, Bob and Melissa immediately got into their car and headed to Chester. During their drive, they reported their daughter's disappearance to the authorities, initiating a search for Lizzi. Not only the police, but also Lizzi's friends and colleagues joined the effort, desperately hoping to find her safe and sound. In the early stages of the investigation, the police checked Lizzi's bank accounts and phone records, looking for any signs of activity that might indicate her whereabouts. They found nothing. No transactions, no calls, no messages. Lizzi's phone was turned off, and there were no clues pointing to her current location. This raised fears that something terrible had happened to her. A breakthrough came when Lizzi's car was discovered parked in the campus lot. The car provided a starting point, but it did little to alleviate the growing fear that Lizzi had met with foul play. It was as if she had vanished without a trace, leaving behind her belongings and her loved ones in a state of anguish. The situation became more dire as days passed with no new leads. The authorities and volunteers scoured the area, searching for any clues that might lead to Lizzi. They conducted interviews with friends, classmates, and anyone who might have seen or heard from her on the night she disappeared. Through these interviews, the police learned about Lizzi's plans to visit Kate McDonald. One of Lizzi's friends, Nate McNeil, mentioned that he had asked Kate if Lizzi had been with her, to which Kate had responded no. This raised suspicions and prompted the detectives to investigate further. As the investigation intensified, the police focused on Kate McDonald and her boyfriend, Seth Mazzella. They began to unravel the dark and disturbing details of the couple's lives, leading them closer to the truth about what happened to Lizzi Marriott on that fateful night. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the shocking revelations and the twisted turn of events that followed Lizzi Marriott's disappearance. As the search for Lizzi Marriott intensified, the initial hope of finding her alive began to fade. The police, family, and volunteers scoured the areas around Chester and the University of New Hampshire, retracing Lizzi's steps on the night of October 9, 2012. Her car, discovered in the campus parking lot, provided a critical, albeit grim, clue. It became increasingly clear that Lizzi had not simply run away or met with a minor accident. The police quickly transitioned from a search and rescue mission to a search for Lizzi's body. The discovery of her car left little doubt that foul play was involved. As detectives delved deeper into her disappearance, they became aware of gruesome and unsettling details. Interviews with Lizzi's friends, classmates, and anyone who had interacted with her on the night she vanished revealed troubling inconsistencies and dark secrets. A pivotal moment came when Nate McNeil, a friend of Lizzi's, pointed investigators towards Kate McDonald, the last person known to have seen Lizzi. Through their investigation, the police unearthed chilling information about Kate McDonald and her boyfriend, Seth Mazzella. What initially appeared to be a close-knit friendship between Kate and Lizzi soon revealed sinister undertones. As detectives pieced together the timeline and interactions, they found themselves uncovering a story of manipulation, control, and a disturbing underworld of desires. Lizzi Marriott was a bright, ambitious, and caring young woman. Born to Bob and Melissa Marriott, Lizzi grew up in Massachusetts, where she developed a deep love for marine life. Her passion for the ocean and its inhabitants led her to pursue a degree in marine biology at the University of New Hampshire. Lizzi's dedication to her studies was matched by her enthusiasm for her future career, envisioning a life spent protecting and studying marine ecosystems. Despite the distance, Lizzi maintained a close relationship with her parents. Bob and Melissa were her biggest supporters, and their bond remained strong even after Lizzi moved to Chester to live with her uncle and aunt, Tony and Becky Hanna. This move was a practical decision to save on housing costs while she attended university, but it also brought Lizzi closer to her extended family, who quickly embraced her as a cherished member of their household. Lizzi's character was defined by her kindness, friendliness, and infectious joy. She was the type of person who would light up a room with her presence. Her Aunt Becky fondly recalled how Lizzi would shout, "I'm home!" whenever she returned, filling their home with warmth and happiness. Lizzi's compassionate nature made her well-loved by everyone who knew her. In addition to her studies, Lizzi worked part-time at a Target store. It was here that she met Kate McDonald, an 18-year-old co-worker. The two young women quickly formed a close friendship, often spending time together after work. Kate's reserved and sometimes abrasive nature contrasted with Lizzie's sociable and compassionate demeanor, yet their bond seemed genuine and strong. Kate's relationship with her boyfriend, Seth Mazzella, added another layer to this dynamic. Seth, 30, was an intriguing character with a background in theater arts and a variety of skills and interests. Despite working as a consultant in an electronics store, Seth had trained as an emergency medical technician, earned a black belt in karate, and even taught martial arts. His larger-than-life persona captivated both Kate and Lizzie, leading to the fateful evening of October 9th. Lizzie's promising future was abruptly and tragically cut short, but her memory lived on in the hearts of her family and friends. Her dedication to marine biology, her vibrant personality, and her unwavering kindness made her an unforgettable figure in the lives of those who knew her. The horrifying details that emerged from the investigation into her disappearance only underscored the stark contrast between Lizzie's bright spirit and the darkness that ultimately claimed her life. On the evening of October 9, 2012, Lizzi Marriott made plans to visit her friend Kate McDonald's apartment in Dover, New Hampshire. Lizzie, an enthusiastic and friendly 19-year-old marine biology student, had met Kate while working at Target. Despite their contrasting personalities, the two had formed a close bond. Kate, 18, was more reserved and occasionally abrasive, but Lizzie's compassionate nature helped bridge the gap between them. Kate's boyfriend, Seth Mazzella, was an intriguing figure in their dynamic. At 30 years old, Seth was significantly older than both women and had a diverse background. He had trained in theater arts, held a black belt in karate, and worked as an emergency medical technician, among other skills. Seth and Kate had a complex relationship that blended their shared interests in theater and martial arts, drawing Lizzie into their circle. That night, Lizzie told her uncle and aunt, Tony and Becky Hanna, that she would be spending the evening with Kate. She left a note for them, a routine gesture that provided a sense of security. She drove her car to Kate's apartment, unaware that this ordinary visit would be her last. As the evening progressed, Lizzie's presence at Kate's apartment became the focal point of a chilling sequence of events. Seth, who was at the apartment that night, played a central role in what transpired. The exact details of the night remained shrouded in mystery and horror, but it was clear that Lizzie never left the apartment alive. When Lizzie failed to return home that night, her family began to worry. At first, Tony and Becky Hanna thought she might have stayed late at Kate's or decided to stay overnight without informing them. However, as the hours turned into a day, their concern grew. They called her phone repeatedly, but there was no answer. On October 10th, Lizzie's family reported her missing to the police. The authorities launched an immediate investigation, recognizing the urgency of the situation. They retraced Lizzie's steps, starting with her last known whereabouts. Her car, still parked in the campus parking lot, was a grim reminder that something had gone terribly wrong. As the news of Lizzie's disappearance spread, the community rallied to support the search efforts. Friends, classmates, and volunteers joined the police in scouring the areas around the university in Dover. Lizzie's parents, Bob and Melissa Marriott, were devastated but determined to find their daughter. They offered a $10,000 reward for any information leading to her safe return, hoping that this incentive might encourage someone to come forward. The police quickly zeroed in on Kate McDonald and Seth Mazzella. Kate's account of the evening was inconsistent and raised more questions than it answered. Under increasing pressure, details began to emerge that pointed to a far more sinister scenario. The investigators uncovered evidence suggesting that Lizzie had been the victim of a premeditated crime. The investigation revealed that Seth had a dark side that contrasted sharply with his public persona. His fascination with control and manipulation, coupled with Kate's submissive relationship with him, painted a disturbing picture. It became apparent that Lizzie had been lured into a trap, and her trust in her friends had been tragically misplaced. As days turned into weeks, the hope of finding Lizzie alive dwindled. The search transitioned from a rescue mission to a recovery operation, focusing on locating her body. The community's collective heartache deepened as the grim reality set in. The Marriott family's anguish was palpable. They remained steadfast in their resolve to uncover the truth, and seek justice for their daughter. The reward money, the public pleas, and the relentless efforts of law enforcement underscored the desperation and determination to find answers. Lizzi Marriott's disappearance had become more than a personal tragedy. It was a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk behind seemingly ordinary lives. As the days dragged on without any sign of Lizzi Marriott, the investigation seemed to be hitting a dead end. The community was gripped with fear and sadness, and Lizzi's family was desperate for any clue that could lead to her whereabouts. Then, a critical breakthrough came from an unexpected source, Nate McNeil. Nate McNeil, a casual acquaintance of Kate McDonald, approached the police with information that shifted the focus of the investigation. Nate had known Kate and Seth Mazzella through mutual friends and occasional social gatherings. He had always found something off about Seth, noting his controlling behavior and Kate's seemingly submissive demeanor. On the night of Lizzi's disappearance, Nate had seen Lizzi with Kate and Seth at Kate's apartment. His account provided a crucial link, pointing investigators back to Kate and Seth. The police intensified their scrutiny of Kate McDonald. They discovered that Lizzi's bank accounts had shown no activity since her disappearance, a troubling sign that she had not left of her own accord. Additionally, her phone had been turned off, an alarming indication that something sinister had happened. Lizzi was a responsible young woman who would never vanish without a trace or leave her family in distress. As the investigation deepened, disturbing details about Seth Mazzella and Kate McDonald's private lives began to surface. Police uncovered evidence suggesting that Seth and Kate were deeply involved in the BDSM community. While such a lifestyle is consensual and harmless for many, in this case, it revealed a dark and troubling dynamic between the couple. Seth Mazzella was known within the community as a dominant figure, while Kate played the submissive role. This dominant-submissive relationship extended beyond their private life and into a realm of psychological control and manipulation. Seth's influence over Kate was profound, and it became apparent that he wielded significant power over her actions and decisions. Investigators found explicit messages and online profiles that detailed Seth's interest in extreme forms of dominance and control. These discoveries were unsettling and painted a picture of a man who thrived on exerting power over others. The police began to suspect that Seth's influence over Kate might have played a critical role in Lizzi's disappearance. This new information shifted the entire focus of the investigation. It was no longer just about finding Lizzi. It was about unraveling the extent of Seth and Kate's involvement in her disappearance. The police suspected that Lizzi had become an unwilling participant in one of Seth's twisted fantasies, a scenario that Kate might have facilitated under his control. The revelation of Seth and Kate's BDSM lifestyle provided a possible motive and method for Lizzi's disappearance. The investigators theorized that Lizzi had been lured to Kate's apartment under the pretense of a friendly visit, only to become a victim of Seth's sinister plans. The psychological and physical control Seth exerted over Kate could explain why she might have gone along with such a horrific scheme. With this new perspective, the investigation intensified. The police sought more evidence to build a case against Seth and Kate. They interviewed friends, colleagues, and members of the BDSM community who might have insights into Seth's behavior and his relationship with Kate. Each piece of information brought them closer to understanding what had happened to Lizzi Marriott on that fateful night. The breakthrough provided by Nate McNeil and the dark revelations about Seth and Kate's relationship were pivotal. They transformed the investigation from a missing person case into a complex and chilling tale of manipulation, control, and tragic betrayal. The authorities were now determined to uncover the full truth and ensure that those responsible for Lizzi's disappearance faced justice. On October 12th, the police brought Seth Mazzella and Kate McDonald in for questioning, hoping to shed light on Lizzi Marriott's disappearance. The interrogations were intense, with detectives pressing Seth and Kate for answers about the events of October 9th. Under mounting pressure, Seth eventually confessed to a harrowing sequence of events that unfolded that night. He admitted that what started as a casual evening with Lizzi and Kate at Kate's apartment had taken a dark turn. Seth claimed that they had engaged in a threesome that ended tragically when Lizzi accidentally died. In a state of panic and fear, Seth and Kate disposed of Lizzi's body, dumping it into the nearby Piscataqua River from Pierce Island. Seth's confession, sent shockwaves through the investigation, confirming the worst fears of Lizzi's loved ones and the authorities. The gruesome details of her death painted a chilling picture of the events that had transpired behind closed doors that night. Catherine Fish emerged as a pivotal witness in the case, providing crucial testimony about Seth Mazzella's violent tendencies and dark fantasies. Catherine, Seth's ex-girlfriend, bravely came forward to share her experiences with law enforcement, shedding light on Seth's disturbing behavior. Catherine recounted how Seth's initial charm and affection had given way to controlling and manipulative behavior. She described instances of physical violence and emotional abuse, including a chilling revelation that Seth had confided in her about his fantasies of taking someone's life. Catherine's testimony provided valuable insight into Seth's character and the potential danger he posed to others. After enduring months of fear and abuse, Catherine managed to escape from Seth's clutches and start a new life away from him. Her courage in coming forward helped authorities piece together the puzzle of Lizzi Marriott's disappearance and build a case against Seth and Kate. In the courtroom, Seth Mazzella and Kate McDonald faced a litany of charges related to Lizzi Marriott's disappearance and death. Seth was charged with first-degree murder, criminal conspiracy, and taking advantage of a vulnerable person. Kate faced charges of obstruction of justice and aiding in the disposal of evidence. The court proceedings were tense and emotionally charged, with Lizzi's family and loved ones anxiously awaiting justice for their beloved daughter. Kate ultimately struck a deal with the prosecution, agreeing to testify against Seth in exchange for a reduced sentence. As the trial unfolded, the full extent of Seth and Kate's involvement in Lizzi's death came to light, painting a chilling portrait of manipulation, betrayal, and violence. The courtroom drama captivated the public, drawing attention to the dangers lurking beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary lives. In the end, justice was served, albeit with a bittersweet taste. Seth Mazzella was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Kate McDonald received a 3-year sentence for her role in the cover-up. For Lizzi's parents, Bob and Melissa Marriott, the verdict brought a sense of closure. But the pain of their daughter's loss would never fully heal. Lizzi's body was never found, denying her family the opportunity to lay her to rest properly and find solace in closure. The case of Lizzi Marriott's disappearance and death serves as a sobering reminder of the darkness that can lurk within seemingly ordinary lives. It is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the tireless efforts of law enforcement to seek justice for the victims and their families. Though Lizzi may never return, her memory lives on in the hearts of those who loved her, a beacon of light in a world touched by darkness.